We need to move from an opposition party to being a proposition party. We need to update our House rules so that everyone can be a more effective representative. We, as a conference, should unify now and not after a divisive speaker election. I cannot and I will not give up my family time. I may not be on the road as often as previous speakers, but I pledge to try and make up for it with more time communicating our vision, our message. What I told members is, if you can agree to these requests, and if I can truly be a unifying figure, then I will gladly serve.
And that was Wisconsin Representative Paul Ryan laying out his demands last night that must be met in order for him to run for Speaker of the House. The one-time vice presidential candidate, who has long said he does not want the job, seems to have changed his mind somewhat, clearly. As long as he gets a full endorsement from Republicans, his conditions around work-life balance are met, and he gets to pick first during the corn toss tournament. Listen to that. At the annual congressional cookout. Okay, scratch that last one. Understandably, some in the GOP are none too pleased with Mr. Ryan's demands. Arizona Representative Matt Salmon says, and we quote, "It's like interviewing a maid for a job, and she says, I don't clean windows, don't do floors, don't do beds, and these are the hours that I work." It's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. Does the representative have a point? Is Paul Ryan being too picky, Zach?
I think Paul Ryan should not be Speaker of the House for a number of reasons. First and foremost is that Paul Ryan wants to eliminate the rule that Thomas Jefferson wrote into the House rules, which is that the majority can remove the Speaker if he needs to be removed. That's democracy. That's fundamental democracy. And Paul Ryan is a no-go that cannot be part of any sort of public stance of a Speaker of the House. It needs to be democracy. That's
the question, Greg. Can you force unity when you say, look, I'm not going to do this unless everybody's behind me? Even if you don't believe you're behind me, you have to at least say that you're behind me. It seems like he's trying to, he has a lot of leverage, clearly, because the right people want him for the job. But to say that I need this many votes before I do it, it might be too much to ask for.
Well, I agree that there should be a unifying figure that can get more than 218 votes, because if it's a close vote, we're going to continue to see the same problems that we're seeing now. But the demands of the Freedom Caucus are very reasonable. They just want them to follow the regular rules of order. And there's this alliance between the establishment media and the Republican establishment to push the same talking points to force the Freedom Caucus into a corner. And that's what we're saying, and it's pretty dangerous.
Before we get to you, I'd like to hear what they would pick from the Freedom Caucus.
Well, they endorsed Daniel Webster, and Daniel Webster has a 53% rating from the Heritage Action. He's not some far-right Louis Gohmert nutjob, and he's just agreed to follow the regular rules of order, let committee chairmen bring their own bills to the floor, not use retribution if they take a vote.
Okay.
My favorite congressman was in that case.
Okay. Zach, you're with Webster as well?
I am not. I think this is a curveball. Stay with me. Don't think I'm crazy. There's a reason behind it. Pitch coming in, Newt Gingrich. Here's why. What's going on is we have a paradigm that is fundamentally broken in the Republican House. It's just entrenched. It's not going to move. I don't see any way that we're going to get somebody from either the Freedom Caucus or the mainstream Republican establishment to get that role. I think someone like Newt Gingrich, if he comes in with a very clear set of rules and principles, if he can come in...
A contract with America, as it were.
A contract with America. He could break the paradigms.
The first part of what you said, Zach, I thought you absolutely nailed the reason that the Freedom Caucus will not go along with it. The rule that, just so people understand, there's something called a motion to remove the chair, which is how you would get rid of a sitting speaker. This is what Paul Ryan wants to do away with. That will be the excuse for why the Freedom Caucus will not approve Paul Ryan. He won't be the speaker. The second one, I get where you're going with Newt Gingrich. It won't happen because the American public would have an allergic reaction to the idea, and it would in the long run hurt Republicans, I think, especially going into an election.
Who do you see as the alternative?
I don't think I've seen one, and I get the problem. You know, I think it's probably going to be somebody none of us are talking about yet. I don't think it will be Daniel Webster. In fact, I'm sure it won't be. It's going to be somebody that we're not thinking of. I would recommend Representative Kelly, who can talk to both sides.
Interesting. Let me move on here quickly. I just want to get to an AP poll. 62% of Republicans say they would prefer a new speaker who will stick with conservative principles, even if doing so leads to a government shutdown. Just 37% prefer someone who will compromise with President Obama, and Democrats to pass a budget. So there appears to be a big divide there. One note on Newt. I just wonder if he has the connection still there. And I mean, it's been 20 years removed since he was Speaker of the House. So he goes back in, and maybe just being so far, and you think that would be an advantage because he doesn't have any real ties to anybody or any favors that he owes?
I think it's just a stopgap measure. I don't see anybody in the Congress right now that's going to be pushed by either side. And someone like Newt is a very effective communicator. He's probably the best communicator we have on our side right now. And if he goes in with a mandate, follows the rules, then what's the harm?
But who's going to emerge when you say stopgap? Even if they hold on to the Congress?
Let there be another election and let the people speak.
All right. Do you think Paul Ryan is being too demanding? And who do you think will be Speaker of the House? Let us know at newsmaxtv.com/comments. Coming up next, we're going to find out how to bag a rhino when we talk to Gray and Zach about their amazing new book. Stay tuned.